Well, hey, Ellis, nice. I appreciate you joining me on the Friday. How you doing?
I'm doing quite well, Cory. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Looking forward to a fantastic weekend. We just talked about out and about here in Southern California.
Yeah, not a bad spot to be.
No, I know California's taken their beatings here recently. Got a lot. Everybody I know I talked to, it's like I don't know anybody that hasn't talked about leaving this place. But it's like I'm going to stick it out. I figured everybody's going to leave here. I'm going to leave you and me maybe, and we'll fight it out.
Yeah, I'll stand side by side with you here. We're committed. I think we're too entrenched in our community right now to have to pick up and go. So yeah, we do enjoy it out here.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think I could ever go back to we're from the East Coast, the Washington, D.C. area originally. I mean, we came out here probably almost 15 years ago now.
Okay.
But I couldn't go back to shoveling a driveway, getting my car dug out of a garage. So yeah, those days don't appeal to me. I like driving up to Mammoth and then coming back.
Yes.
Coming back down.
In pure candid honesty, I've never even held a snow shovel. So I can't even imagine going and dealing with that. So that's kind of our own little secret. Yes, I think we're approaching, probably going to hit $10 a gallon here in gas. Yeah. I get it. But there's value in living our lives outdoors like this. So I'm in it to win it.
Yeah, very true. I'm with you.
One thing also we're aligned in, and a topic I just like most every fine people I meet these days is on LinkedIn. You and I ran across, we've been connected for a while, but just recently you had a post that really caught my attention regarding customer loyalty. But before I jump into that, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you're up to.
Yeah, perfect. I'm Ellis Connolly. I'm currently the Chief Revenue Officer with Laasie. We're a loyalty and kind of conversion incentive platform in the lodging industry. I've kind of got a track record of being in the travel tech space for quite some time now. Probably won't put a year on it, but most recently spent some time at Sabre. Prior to that was with Rainmaker, recently acquired by Sendine. And prior had some time spent with Trust You, which is a social analytics and kind of guest survey review company. So luckily for me, two of those companies have been acquired. And now I'm here at Laasie, looking to drive the conversation around loyalty and incentives, to see where we can take this thing. Where's a lot of opportunity out there.
Oh man, more now than ever. And I think as we're headed into some challenging times, loyalty, reputation management, that's at the top of our list especially for our clients. Got a topic I served up to you. You were the guy, my go-to guy on this topic. Customer loyal check-in, no pun. So could you just simply describe customer loyalty without all the jargon and all the nonsense that we tend to throw into things?
Yeah, so I think customer loyalty, and even outside of the scope of travel and hospitality, the way that I define it, or the way that we define it at Laasie today is, loyalty is really these little moments of time that tie someone back to your brand, right? Or drive some type of affinity or an emotion back to something, right? Now, all of the jargon that you mentioned that supports that, and how to deploy that, and how to uncover it, and then how to nurture it, right? Those are all things that technology can do, that people can do. But the reality is, loyalty is little moments of time that if you can capture and do right as an organization, you can get more affinity from your customers. And we're working on trying to change the narrative today around what that means and how it can be deployed within a lodging environment, right? If you think about the last 18 to 24 months, and you look at the online publications specific to travel, you can't go a week without looking at some loyalty program that has changed, shifted the goalposts, moved their model. Delta just announced this week a partnership with Starbucks, which has been in play for a while, but now they're connecting their rewards programs. So there's all these different pieces that folks are looking at to help build upon loyalty, specifically in travel, as frequency was diminished quite a bit, right, over the past few years. So the narrative has changed, and we think there's massive opportunity to leverage instant gratification in the way that today's consumers within an e-commerce world expect to be rewarded, and how that's translated into a travel or lodging environment. And there's a ton of disruption that can happen right now. There's a lot of technical debt and pride currently that exists within travel loyalty programs. There's challenges, there's opportunities. I think loyalty over the course of the next 3 to 5 years should and will look completely different for us that are playing in the lodging space. I mean, look at Citizen M as an example, right? Who launched a subscription model for their loyalty product, right? $10 a month gets you X plus your points, plus your rewards. It's kind of this buy-in type of velvet rope concept. So I think there's areas to play in there. But yeah, there's a lots to work on and lots to do.
That's great. What about, and I hear this often at times, pushback on, hey, there is no loyalty anymore. I'm a XYZ guest. I'm always looking for the rate. I'm looking for the best promo. I don't care about brand. So what would you say to those people?
I would say you're not wrong and you're not right. I mean, I know that's a very ambiguous and 50-50 answer, but the reality is, as it relates to travel, there's one thing that usually won't change in the decision of where I'm going to stay at a hotel, and it's location. If I have to be in a place for something, or if I go somewhere with my family for some excursion, I'm going to that place. So I have to select a hotel that's in that market, right? We talked about this before, right? It's location, it's price, and then it's reputation and loyalty that kind of sit behind those two first core factors of decision-making as it relates to choosing or selecting a hotel. I'm a member of probably 8 hotel loyalty programs. I'm a member of also probably 5 airline programs, but the one that I'm only truly loyal to is my airline program, right? Because I don't like to ride in the back of the plane.
There you go.
But is that loyal, or is that habitual, or is that transactional? Right? And those are a couple of different ways that, people should be, in the context of your question, thinking about loyalty, right? There's habitual loyalty, which means, I know that if I fly United, out of 80% of the hubs, I'm going to get upgraded automatically because I'm Premier 1K, right? What I also know is that if I'm going to fly into Houston, or if I'm going to fly into Chicago, because those are 2 of their bigger hubs, I may not get that loyalty member treatment, right?
Right.
At a hotel, I think hotels have completely lost sight of what loyalty is at the big brand level, right? I mean, making someone become a loyalty member just to access internet, while it's an acquisition strategy that I completely understand, and you want to drive member enrollment so you can turn around and go sell flags, right, to franchisors and owners and asset companies. Free internet and bottles of water isn't getting it done anymore, specifically if you're an independent, right? So you have to tie in to the more emotional side of loyalty, which takes more thought and takes more ideas, and honestly takes more time, energy, and effort to be able to deploy within your hotel or within your portfolio of hotels. So yeah, I mean, I think loyalty isn't dead, right? To answer your question, it's just been really boring for a really long time.
I agree. Now, I've been honing on this for our partners as well. Getting back to that whole one question: are you making your guest or your customer happy? And are you making them feel special? Because once you make them feel special, I think we talked about this, the whole concept of norm it cheers.
Yep.
Once somebody walks into a hotel and they feel that this hotel is their house, this is my place, that transcends price. It transcends a lot of the barriers that you have to. I can't tell you, if I was the attribution of all the referrals, all the mentions, all the shout outs. In fact, I go down to my place in San Diego multiple times per month, and I tell everybody on LinkedIn where I'm working from, because I feel it's my place.
Yep. I've seen the pictures.
Paradise Point's my place. I've had my wedding there. It was my first client. There's so many things that's deeply within me and they never nurture me. I don't get anything from them at all, but it's such a deep-seated psychological thing within me. I feel that it's a part of me, and that immediately, people ask me all the time, come to San Diego, where should I stay? Dozens of times I've said Paradise Point. Without a doubt, they booked that trip. They didn't even look at any place else. Blew all the barriers down, and it would be an interesting case study to figure out if I could connect all those dots and figure out all those dollars and cents. And down the line, I'm sure I heard from them, Cory, incredible recommendation. We had an amazing time. So now they're referring it to other people.
Yeah. You should just start sending Paradise Point an invoice.
Yeah. Onto something there. Yeah. So, I mean, you start thinking about you uncover that further on that concept of loyalty. It's almost overwhelming.
But it's, to your point though, right, Cory, it's not the transaction that drives loyalty in like a points accumulation scheme, right? It's, and there's Adele, who works with reputation management, and Gutman.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah.
And she talks a lot about these strategies around empowering your employees to create 5-star reviews on TripAdvisor, right? And I know, that's hard to operationalize. It's hard to execute consistently. But hotels can do it. Obviously, the library collection where she was at was very successful in doing so. But you've got this whole idea behind, how do you connect to your guests? How do you create experiences for them that they're going to remember to do the exact thing that you just did about Paradise Point, right? Hands down, recommend these types of properties, post socially about them to help encourage social influence and reputation, which is, kind of near and dear to your heart there. But also on the loyalty side, imagine being able to do things like, Justin Bieber, as an example, just canceled the remainder of his tour, right? So there are hotels that have rates booked for that concert that we're going to be in town, right? Mm-hmm. Where potentially some of those folks are canceling, or if they're coming to San Diego, hopefully they're still going to come and spend some time with us.
Right.
But imagine in that situation where that show was canceled, right? What if you deployed, an iTunes gift card for $2 for each of those 110 people that were going to stay in your hotel for that night, and give them an iTunes gift card to go and buy Justin Bieber's new single, right? Now, all of a sudden, their experience to come to you guys was, I don't want to say ruined, but they're not coming for the concert anymore, but a thoughtful, positioned, emotional loyalty strategy there now potentially ties you back to this hotel and say, you know what, the concert was canceled. We didn't end up going, but we still went there. And the hotel bought us the Justin Bieber single. How crazy is that, right? People start talking about it. There are hundreds and thousands of areas of opportunity to be able to do that from a surprise and delight perspective.
Love that.
But it's hard to execute.
Yes, indeed.
Right? So the execution piece is where, I'm spending a lot of time these days in helping hoteliers deploy that and helping hoteliers gain access to that type of reward content at their fingertips to be able to do those things.
I didn't have this written down, but I want to ask you a real quick question, because oftentimes when we talk to ownership or property management companies, some of the initiatives in terms of marketing and loyalty being one of them, is it hard for them to connect the dots between that and the good old bottom line, right? Because it always boils down to the bottom line. So, and I just browsed on your site quickly. It looks like you guys have addressed that, because I'm sure that always comes up. But do you find trouble in trying to communicate that concept of loyalty, creating that emotional trigger or that deep-seated in the guest, and how that attributes down the chain indirectly to the bottom line?
Yeah, so we can definitely tie back transactional and lifetime value to the specific customer that a surprise and delight strategy was deployed against. So we see that very clearly. The other piece there, though, is there has to be, from the marketing side or the service recovery side, depending on where you want it to sit, there has to be some type of budget allocated in order to perform these types of strategies, right?
Sure.
I think in a traditional hotel environment, when you think about how are folks leveraging a CRM, how are folks leveraging a loyalty program, it's very, I don't want to say simplistic, but it's, oh no, I have need dates 3 months from now over these midweek days. Let's go back and look at everyone in our CRM who stayed with us over those same days, same time last year, the year before that. Let's shoot them the round one email that goes out offering a rate to come stay over these specific dates. If that doesn't have pickup, then they'll go to the next batch of folks who stayed in somewhere thereabouts. And if that doesn't pick up, some folks will just blast the entire database, right? that is unfortunately the typical strategy of how to create demand through CRM, right? Yep. So what we believe in that instance is, what if you could leverage a loyalty member that selected specific rewards over the course of their previous stays that align to a brand or that align to a type of experience? So then you can incorporate, again, some type of brand or experience that would trigger that person to want to move the needle to book, right? So we think of it as audience building capabilities, but in the CRM world, how we would propose it is adding another layer of segmentation or another 2 layers of segmentation, which help drive more personalized comms out of the CRM.
Yeah, I love that, the way you just described it. And it's that needs focused of the hotel being, oh no, we have a hole to fill. Hey, audience, can you fill it for us? Versus it being customer centric. Let me try to touch you, and I'm going to be thoughtful and meaningful in that you come to us versus us pushing ourselves. It's a completely outbound, inbound philosophy.
It is.
I love that, and absolutely, and that is a shift in mindset for hospitality, right? Which it shouldn't be. So, I find it as an outsider. I think I've talked to you. I haven't worked at a hotel before, and I oftentimes that the strategies that we use here at Lure have been adopted from other industries that have been rocking these, and it's almost an afterthought that some things in hospitality are so unhospitable, right? It's not necessarily putting the customer first. We put the hotel first, customer, how can you help us, versus the other way around. So that's one of the aha moments I've had, and trying to right that, I wouldn't say it a wrong, but when you put the customer first and you make them happy, it's amazing what the magic happens.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, though, you've got a lot of, hotels and groups that do it really well too.
Absolutely.
Which
Sure.
is, which is always great to see.
For sure. Absolutely. What does the future look like for loyalty and rewards?
I think we're going to continue to see a shifting landscape of the big brands trying to get it right. I think we're going to continue to see evolution within OTA loyalty strategies, right? You think Expedia earlier this year kind of announced the rollout of One World, so combining all of those programs into one. I think the independent and small group hotel market really needs to be thinking about loyalty as their most prized first-party data acquisition strategy before Google shifts the world on us, which they've given us bereavement and a couple more, a year or so now to wait for that cookieless universe to happen. But every single hotel, whether it be independent or group or brand that we're talking to right now, is first party data acquisition and data acquisition strategies as a whole is extremely top of mind. And what's the customer acquisition cost, or what's the loyalty member acquisition cost that we're really willing to spend to get that data so that we can forward market to them at some other point in time. And we've been able to really help hoteliers deploy within that environment through accessing rewards, through creative enrollment strategies. And the piece to this is, if I'm a consumer and you're asking me to give you my personal information, you should be giving me something back.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's what Laasie supports. And that giving me something back shouldn't be free internet and a bottle of water and a late checkout. It should be something that's more personalized to things that I want to be able to do, right?
Right.
And we unlock a lot of that capability within the merchant network that we support, at Laasie. So I do see, things within loyalty changing. I mean, look at Marriott Bonvoy, right? Amazing program for a big brand. They're doing the auction model, right? You can use your points within an auction environment to bid on experiences, right? Cool stuff, right? Things that, things that, not other programs are doing, but how many loyalty members have access to that, right? How many loyalty members actually have points to be able to bid on certain things, right? So I think loyalty from an independent and small group hotel perspective really has to be about three things, right? So it's collection of first party data, because we have to go and do that today. We have to do that. There's no if, ands, or buts. It needs to be incorporated into our strategy. The second piece is access, right? Access through recognition. It doesn't matter about points. It doesn't matter about free stays. It doesn't matter about if I get 20 nights, what's going to happen, right? If you give access to things that travelers want, experiences, whether that be on property, in local market, through merchant partners that a hotel has existing relationships with, giving folks access to things. You're also driving ancillary revenue with access, right? That's something that we want to think of. And then using all of this data to help build audiences to go out and be smarter about driving demand back for your hotel.
Yeah,
I mean, that's in our world, from the incentive universe, that's what we see. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole carrying points balances and earn properties versus burn properties and what that means and what's the true cost of a loyalty member booking in a big flagged environment. We don't necessarily play a ton in the enterprise space today. We do have some parallel to point strategies where we think instant gratification and rewards plays very nicely in an existing points-based strategy. Because, think about it, if you're not going to stay at a hotel 50 plus nights, even all the way staying up to 50, you'll hit that 10 night and you'll get member benefits, but you're not really getting much else except for the points.
Right.
So what could we do within those buckets where people aren't elevating into new tiers, but you still want to reward them and create that emotional loyalty? We think there's opportunities there. So we're going to see, we think we're going to see a lot more of this instant, the power of now, let's say,
right,
as loyalty evolves, especially in travel. Whereas, and I think you hinted at this before, Cory, our industry from a technology perspective, from strategy perspective, tends to be a little bit behind the curve on what fast-moving e-commerce is doing, right? So we're still kind of in a pickup phase of trying to catch up on some of these things.
For sure, absolutely. Really good points. And I loved your comment of not necessarily it's that I'm expecting to hit these particular benchmarks. Do you see surprise or unscripted benefits or moments where it's almost like, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting that, but what a nice surprise. How thoughtful was that? They must know me.
Yeah. And it's funny you're mentioning this. We were just having this conversation earlier this week where we're rolling out a pretty decent sized loyalty program with a hotel group, and they don't want tiers, they don't want points, but they do want to recognize people when they hit certain thresholds. And that recognition is specific to that one person around what rewards and incentives that they're able to unlock, right? So I'll give you a quick example. Cory, you are traveling, and we'll use Paradise Point. You're staying at Paradise Point. Over the course of the last 18 months, your lifetime value within that property has reached, let's say, $5,000, right? Mm-hmm. So at that $5,000 mark, we would send you a offer or a reward or a note within your loyalty portal that says, Cory, congrats so much. You've just become the Paradise appointed king.
For the day, right? Yeah,
for the day, absolutely. Right?
Love
and
that.
Then you have access to these 15 rewards.
Wow. Yeah.
Pick your top 3, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there's a cost associated to that on the back end of what a hotel will support. And we have all the capabilities that live in the back end to say, okay, within this offering, we can support a max cost of $1,000, $500, whatever we want that to be. Mm-hmm. And our system curates those rewards specifically to you, right? So we know you live in San Diego. We know you come to this hotel quite a bit. We know what type of food you've probably ordered because we're integrated into the PMS. We know what rewards you've selected in the past. So now we have this great, we would call it an optimized selection for you to select from. So we see that as, a very, strategic as well as automated way for a hotel to deploy surprise and delight with protecting their cost side, but using technology to be able to do it.
I love that. That's great. Yes, that's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Well, hey, appreciate you. I know we just scratched the surface on this, but I want to make sure we have some more to talk about because I'm going to ask you on as a follow-up. Hopefully you don't mind me down the road a little bit here. So appreciate you having me on a Friday.
Yeah, of course, man. Always a pleasure to chat. Look forward to doing it again.
Thanks so much, Ellis. Have a great weekend.
All right, you do the same.